evening and welcome to our Town Council workshop for December to set our agenda for our January meeting. Before we move into our items for discussion tonight, I'm going to ask Mark Adkins to do our prayer, and Jason, will you do our pledge? Thanks.
Let's bow. Father, we come to you this evening, Father, just coming out of the Christmas season, and Father, just remembering what the season's all about, Lord. And as we go through doing the business of the city tonight, we ask for discernment, we ask for wisdom. And Father, just give us the knowledge to do the right thing for the citizens of our town. Lord, as we look at a new year, we just pray for peace, especially over in the Middle East, Father, where all the people are being killed and murdered. Father, we just pray for those people. We pray for that side of the country. Lord, go with us now, watch over us all, continue to watch over all of our staff and employees that do the work outside of these walls, Father, and just keep them safe. Go with us now, lead, guide, and direct us. We ask it in your name. Amen.
Please raise the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you both. Okay, we will move into our items for discussion tonight. Our first one is consideration and authorization of a list of items to be auctioned through online surplus sale with GovDeals. Sierra's back.
I am. Good evening, Mayor.
We've not run her off yet.
Not yet. So you'll see the attached list of items to be surplus. It includes vehicles and equipment. The auction will be advertised through the Murfreesboro Post, online, and Channel 3. All auction items will be sold through GovDeals online, and staff seeks authorization to conduct an auction of council-approved items.
Okay. Any questions for Sierra or anything you see that you just can't live without? Orange couch? You see that?
2 pillows, 2 armchairs, and a table.
That's right. Okay, Sierra, we will put that on the agenda and move on to item 2, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with the covered patio to install a shade canopy at Volunteer Park. Hey, Mike.
Mayor, council, this is to authorize the mayor to sign a contract with the covered patio. We did obtain 3 quotes for a shade canopy down the southeast side of the concession at Volunteer Park. We are not going with a low quote just because of the structure. They quoted was a little bit, I thought, weaker than the other ones, but the second one, the second lowest was the covered patio. They did the shade canopy down at the pool and did a great job, and this is at a good price at $14,000. We just asked for authorization to sign the contract.
Questions for Mike on this?
So I see on the contract there were a couple of places that were marked through. Were those our marked throughs or was
Yes,
it
ma'am.
theirs? And
It
did
was
we-
ones that we did on the pool canopy as well.
Okay.
So I just marked through the same ones and sent them to them for their approval.
Okay.
Other questions?
Just for what it's worth, Smyrnaville softball is gonna help pay a little bit of this, I think, 3,000, is that right?
I think it was 2,000.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, so we're gonna pay a little bit from profits from the league this year.
Great. I know you guys, as well as other leagues, always help to keep up the facilities, and we appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll move on to item 3, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute Stewart's Creek Basin Drone Survey Phases 1 and 2 proposals.
Evening, Mayor, Council. Mike's out vacation for Christmas and New Year, so covering for him. This is a contract to authorize SEC to perform preliminary aerial survey work for the potential Stewart's Creek sewer trunk line. We want to do this now because of the vegetation being off the trees and the shrubbery out there. The survey will be much more accurate if we do it now in the winter.
Questions for Mark?
So in looking at the agreement, it gave a cost and the cost said it's for the phase 1, but not phase 2? Is that going to be a
Yes, ma'am.
totally separate contract?
Yes, ma'am. There's 2 phases. Phase 1 would be $40,000 and phase 2 is $35,000.
Okay.
We just broke it up. The way we've been talking about doing the line, phase 1 is to do the initial work that would help the subdivisions out to Rocky Fork Campbell Road, and then phase 2 carries it all the way to 840.
Okay. And so is it also, I'll just have to show you the map because I'm not sure how to explain it. It's going to also get these
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
ancillary
The-
lines, not just the whole trunk line here?
Yes, ma'am, correct. The phase one is the red and purple lines.
This part?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, and those spur lines will catch Morton Lane Lift Station and Amberton Lift Station. So we'll take those lift stations offline with the project when it is designed and constructed.
okay.
If I could add to that, Mike and I talked about this. We know at some point that, that line's gonna be run out to 840. As we know, we're in negotiations again with Linwood. No matter where we end up with Linwood, at some point this line will be run. And this survey needs to be done while the leaves are off the trees, so it'll be done by drone overhead. And we agreed, talking with Rex, no matter if Linwood comes back to fruition or not, we need to have this done. We don't need to wait until summertime and then we don't get a good view of it. So we chose to go ahead and get this done for the town while the weather's allowing the vegetation to be off of the trees and stuff and get us a good survey. So that's the reason we're bringing it forward now.
So if that's the case and the negotiations do pick up with Linwood, would we get reimbursed for what we're doing now or no?
No, this would not fall under, we actually, well, I don't want to get too deep into the Linwood story, but
Yeah.
we're negotiating with Linwood right now, very actively. And one of the things we've said is, we want to go this route because this gives us the opportunity to go with a gravity flow instead of the force main. So this is really in concert for what we would need out of this project, so.
Okay. And then something else I saw on the contract,
Yes.
and I don't know if this is standard, I hadn't seen it on the contract before, but on the reimbursable cost, is not just at cost, it's at cost plus 15%. Is that normally what we do?
I think that was the deal that we did with SEC on this because it was in their best interest to get it done now too, because they knew to provide a quality product. So I think it's cost plus 15% was what we negotiated with them versus a number that would have been, including their overheads and stuff.
Okay,
So,
okay.
Other questions? Okay, we'll move on to item 4, which is approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute the EPA Facilities Plan Report Professional Services Agreement.
All right, Mayor. This is to allow SEC to complete a facilities plan that's going to be required for submittal to TDEC and EPA next October. This is a plan that will be done to basically formalize the findings of an active water service inventory project that we've got going on right now. So this will just be the cost to formalize and to show TDEC and EPA what we found and how we plan on repairing or replacing the lines that we did find in the inventory project.
Okay, questions for Mark on this? Move on to item 5, which is approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute change order number 2 for North Lowry Water Line Phase 2A.
Yes, ma'am. This is change order number 2 for the Lowry Waterline job. This is actually a reduction in cost. This is changing a bore under more and converting it to an open cut casing, which is a reduction in cost. And then also, we found an old vault and an old pump in the system that no one really knew was there, and we're going to have that removed as well. But overall, this is a net reduction change order.
It's not often we get those, so.
Good kind of change orders.
That's right. Questions on this?
So the removal is also included in this cost, or that'll come once you get down there and see what you have to do to
No.
remove it?
No, ma'am. The removal is included in this change order. Yes, ma'am.
Other questions? Okay, we'll move on to item 6, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with Pyro Shows relative to the town's annual fireworks show for 2024. Chief Bill's not here, so I'm
Yeah,
assuming
and
you'll
that,
take this.
I think everybody's been keeping up. I've been sending some text messages. Chief's still at home, resting well and starting his rehab. But this is that annual contract that we do with Pyro Shows for our 4th of July. It's in line with what we've done in the past. So just want to get that on the calendar and get our date firmed up with them, so.
And the date this year is July 3rd for the
believe that's
date,
correct.
and then rain date is July 5th for those that are interested in our Independence Day
And we'll have that
celebration.
stuff on our town calendar and stuff, so people will be able to see it. And of course, we'll do social media postings as we get closer to that.
Great. Moving on to item 7, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute the scope and fee proposal with Energy Land and Infrastructure for the Cooks Lane Improvements Project.
Hey, Mayor and Council, this is a project is for Cooks Lane. It's for 1.25 miles to widen it to 3 lanes, and this is a scope and fee proposal for the survey and design for that project.
Definitely a project that is needed. Council, any questions for Charles on this?
So on the contract, there's a section that says to be determined. So once you know that, you'll come back to us with
Right,
that
once
part
we
there.
get through the survey and design, and then for the CEI, once we find out how much be in the construction, then we'll come back for that cost. We'll do an amendment to this contract.
Okay.
Other questions? Okay, then we'll move on to item 8, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute change order number 2 with Brown Builders for the Tridon Bridge Replacement Project. Charles?
This change order is for a guardrail at one of the bridge ends. We ran into, we have a water line there, and we also have an Atmos gas line, so we had to change the type in terminal on that one corner of the bridge. And the bridge has been fully completed now, so it is fully done.
Questions for Charles on this one? Okay, we'll move on to item 9, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute change order number 2 and change order number 3 with Cleary Construction for the Spring Hill Drive Extension Project.
These change orders for additional pay items for the storm drainage revision due to, we have the Sims property coming in behind us, and we were draining into them, which went into one of their buildable lots, and also the Patterson property has sold, and we had to do some drainage revisions for the new developer up there. So it's just for the new catch basins and location.
Questions for Charles on these?
Can I make a comment about that? Because sometimes we see change orders, we relate it to overruns. These are not overruns. Many times in the field, just like with the bridge, when Atmos got their high-pressure gas line put back on the bridge after the construction, when they relocated it, it ends up being a conflict. Many times the architect, he'll make a draw, or the architect, the engineer will make a drawing, that works on the machine when he's sitting at his desk, but when you get into the field, there's changes. We feel pretty confident that, we're gonna be really close to the budgets even with these changes. And I just wanna make sure everybody understands, every time you see a change order, doesn't mean it's an overrun. A lot of times it's just a field change that's happened on situations like this, just like with the Sims property. We designed, the engineer designed that Spring Hill Road, and then, what's happened is that subdivision's come in behind it, and it's made a change on the elevations or on the lot lines and those kind of things. So I just want to be careful that we don't associate those all the time with an overrun. So I got to give kudos to Charles and Tom both. They stay pretty close to the T on these projects as we're working them and keeping an eye on the budgets, so.
Okay. We'll move on to item 10, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute change order number 5 with Cleary Construction for the Genie Lane Extension Project.
All right, this one, the designer, the consultant we had on that had a subcontractor doing the design on the roundabout, and those pay items were just not brought into the bid book at the time of bid. So it's just adding these to complete the project.
Okay. Item 11 is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement relative to the construction of the ITS Phase 3, 4, 5 project.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mayor Council. As you know, we did bring this item before you all last month and got approval on it. Unfortunately, TDOT rejected that bid. We had to go about to rebid it. We just received bids in today at 2:30. Stansel Electric was the only bidder again at $2,226,823. So we are recommending Stansel for approval to TDOT.
How was that in comparison to last time?
Last time it was about $2.17 million, so it did go up a little bit. But we did have enough money in the additional that TDOT gave us to where we should be able to cover all of this cost at 100%.
And just so you all know, Brian and Tom both worked diligently with TDOT to try and get this, so we didn't have to rebid it, but it was something that we had to do, so appreciate y'all doing that. So item 12 is approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with AM Builders for a metal storage building to be constructed behind Fire Hall 3 on Enon Springs Road near Nissan.
Yes, this is a metal building to house some extra equipment that fire and police have so it can get out of the weather. We had two bidders. It turned out that Walker's Construction, who was the low bidder, was considered non-responsive as they did not fully bid the project. So the only other bidder was AM Builders at a total of $396,197. We are not going to include the concrete apron, which was $46,134,000 in on the bid at this time. So we are just going to have them install the building and the concrete slab that the building is going to sit on.
Okay.
This building, we've been talking about this for a while. If you know, we have many trailers. The police department has a command center, fire department has a command center, they have the smokehouse, all those things we see at different events. Sometimes they're taking up space in the firehouse, sometimes they're outside. We've got a couple of small vehicles, golf carts, those kind of things that get utilized from time to time. We worked with Nissan. That property is actually owned by Nissan, but we have a long-term agreement with them on the firehouse. And they've agreed to allow us to put this building back there, but this is strictly a storage. We'll probably have some lights and a few plugs for battery chargers, those kind of things, but this is not a shop to be working on equipment or anything like that. It's strictly to get this equipment out of the weather and out of the firehouses so that we have firehouses have fire trucks, not trailers and stuff in them. So this is something that we desperately needed, I think. If you look at the police command center, this next year, they're gonna be asking for some money to do some repairs, and it's just from where it's been sitting outside as a trailer, so that's what this is all about.
Questions for Tom or Brian?
Is that building big enough for what we have to store? It's
Yes.
90 by 50, I see, that ample space.
Yeah, we actually measured all the trailers, and, I mean, it's hard to know what the future holds. I haven't seen this year's budget request yet, but right now, it'll hold everything and give us a little bit of room, for growth.
Okay, we'll move on to item 12, which is approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute a contract for financial wellness services for our employees.
I mean, 13. 13.
13.
Yeah.
Mayor, Council, good evening. Very excited to bring this to you tonight. Several months ago, we did a survey to employees, a benefits survey, got a lot of good positive feedback about the benefits that we provide our employees. But one of the things that we noticed from that survey is we got some feedback from quite a few people that they wanted better financial advice. They wanted more help with investing, more in preparing for retirement, financial planning in general. And so I talked with Brian, we did some research, and there is a fantastic company out there. It's called Bright Plan. It's one of the top financial wellness platform companies that's out there, and it does provide employees with a lot of digital assistance. So it's got a very robust app that you can get, but you can link your Voya account to it, and it'll actually give you advice on, hey, you might consider switching in and investing in these funds instead of the ones that you're in, or maybe you need to go a different direction. It also allows employees to contact person to person, a certified financial planner, to get advice about all kinds of financial things, not just investing, but other things as well. One of the cool things is they were on the Sourcewell contract. So the original quote that I got from the company was going to be about $35,000 a year, but they were on the Sourcewell contract, so that amount is $3.47 per employee per month, or about $18,000 a year. So really good pricing on that. So really excited about this benefit. I think it's going to help a lot of our employees have some peace of mind in their financial standing and prepare them for retirement.
Questions for Jeff on this?
So this is going to be an app that they can use?
Yes.
And then they can
There'll also
actually
be an
make phone
online
calls?
portion they can, but then there'll also be a telephonic, they can call and talk to a certified financial planner as well.
Okay. How are y'all promoting this? Like, are you gonna do social media, or you're doing it internally?
Yeah, we'll
How are
do it
y'all-
internally once it's approved and becomes part of the benefits package. Once we put it in place, we'll make sure to get something out to all the employees through our internal email system,
Okay.
that it's available to them, and this, it's one of those things that, we hear a lot about, especially retirement. We have a 401, 457. Some people, want a TCA type retirement plan or an old pension type plan. I think this will help us let the employees know what's available to them through the system we have, and if they, do proper planning and those kind of things, they can really benefit from this, so.
Yeah.
I will tell you just personally, when I left Atmos, I had some money to reinvest, and I had somebody to sit down with me and help me. I was pretty heavy on some Atmos stock at the time, just after 30 years, and, it's paid dividends to have somebody that's watching the market every day be able to give you some advice, so.
So
And Ms.
is-
Peoples, they'll actually come out and they'll do meetings for employees as well. So we'll do a really big, robust marketing plan so people know what all that's about and what all they can benefit from it.
And so, will there be like a time limit? Like, will they get like so many hours with someone if they want to talk to them?
There's not a
in
cap,
person?
there's not a
That's-
cap on it. So whenever they've need a call, they can make that
Okay.
phone call.
Good, okay.
Ron, Jeff, I appreciate you all continuing to look for added benefits to our employees that aren't just with their pay. Because I do think there are things that our employees are looking for, and I think by doing the survey, sometimes we find those things out. So I appreciate that. We'll move on to item 14, which is approval of a revision to the longevity pay policy in the Town of Smyrna Employee Handbook.
Mayor, Council, we are putting forth a revision to the longevity pay policy. It's a minor revision, but yet something I think that needs to be updated. For the longest time, the minimum amount for a bonus for a part-time employee or a new hire was $50. Once that got taxed, the person actually didn't bring home very much. That hasn't changed in 15, 20 years, and so we're making a recommendation to up that to a minimum of $100. So a very minor change. Everything else within longevity policy will stay the same, but we are asking to increase that minimum amount to $100.
Any questions for Jeff on this? Okay, we'll put that on the agenda and move on to item 15, which is approval of terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Boozer and Company PC for real estate appraisal services in connection with the Rocky Fork Amable Road right-of-way project.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Hope you all had a wonderful Christmas. This is the last piece of our sort of team that we need to have in place for this Rocky Fork Amable Road right-of-way project. Council approved our acquisition services as well as our title services, and this would be for the original appraisal. There's no review appraisal needed on these. Obviously, I'd invite Charles to come up and speak as to any aspects of the project for particular questions that you have, but this one's pretty straightforward from a contract standpoint.
Questions for Jason on this? Okay, then we'll move on to item 16, which is consideration of an ordinance amending Title IV of the town's municipal code and establishing an updated occupational safety and health program plan, and this is a second reading. Jeff?
Yes, Mayor. Mayor and Council, as Mr. Urbana spoke last time quite a bit about this, this is going to be the updated version of the TOSHA and OSHA policies for the town.
Questions for Jeff on this? Okay, we'll move on to item 17, which is consideration of an ordinance amending the municipal code Title II, 704, relative to the Memorial Maintenance and Special Projects Subcommittee to codify powers, duties, and related matters pertaining to the Captain Jeff Coos USMC Scholarship Program. This is a second reading. Jason?
Yes, good evening again. So I didn't have the opportunity to address you all last time. I had to be out, but I believe Brian and Jeff spoke to it, and so obviously we'd love to entertain any questions you have. I will update you in the sense that on December 15th, the Coos Memorial Subcommittee did meet. Mayor was involved in that meeting, and we had tremendous participation from our sort of ad hoc citizen work group who helped develop this whole program, and I just want to make sure that I give a shout out to them as far as their contributions. Couldn't have done it without them, and look forward to them continuing to be involved as far as helping evaluate the scholarship applications as they come in, and us make the recommendations for scholarship awards to the Coos Memorial Committee there. The only thing I will add specific to the ordinance is that it was discussed what the actual name would be of the scholarship program, and in preparing the ordinance amendments, it simply escaped notice that we might need to make sure it's referred to as a memorial scholarship program, so that word memorial doesn't show up in there in the ordinance. And so the council might entertain making a motion perhaps at the council meeting to just make sure that that's included so that that's the actual name. And then we would follow up and, of course, insert that in the revision. So that would be my only note there, if that was what council wanted to do on that. So otherwise, happy to answer any questions on this proposal.
I'm putting that in my notes, but can you also make sure you remind us of that at the council
Of course.
meeting of your
Of course.
recommendation?
I'll make a note as well.
Okay. Questions for Jason on this? Okay, we'll move on to item 18, which is consideration of an ordinance amending Title 12 of the Municipal Code, specifically 602 relative to the International Residential Code and 702 relative to the International Energy Conservation Code. Christie and Jason?
I'll just jump in and say very briefly that I had the pleasure of working with Christie on this, and as you know, she's taken over as building official, and I've always loved working with Dennis, and I know he didn't anticipate having that role for a very, very long time, so I think he's probably glad also that Christie's stepping in. But big shout out to both of them who worked on this. This essentially, I'm not sure how much choice we really have in making these changes. I spoke with the state a little bit on one little thing that I might want to tweak, but they let it be known that it is what it is. So the short of it is that we were fortunate enough to be chosen randomly to have an audit of our code. So wonderful eventuality for us. And so it's my understanding from those who've been here for some time that might not have happened to us for 5-7 years, something like that. So this is a little bit unusual for it to occur. In any event, we passed with great scores, except for certain things that the legislature had amended, which we just needed to update. And I'll let Christie tell you anything specific about that. But lots of big words that are code related, and for your knowledge, just so you know, fenestration requirements are a part of what's being changed, so that you might find that that's entertaining. So.
Basically, this code is a change to amend our code to eliminate the blower door and duct blast testing requirements. Also, the local jurisdictions around us, the city of Murfreesboro, Rutherford County, they will also be doing essentially the same amendments to kind of keep in junction with each other. So we're hoping that this will be passed so that we can eliminate those requirements.
Questions for Christie? Okay, we'll put that on the agenda and move on to item 19, consideration of an ordinance relative to the annexation and PRD zoning of property located on tax map 54, parcel 18.00, requested by Gary Cunningham with Catalyst Design Group on behalf of the Rose C. Neal Revocable Trust containing 28.42 acres. The property is located on Rocky Fork, Emerald Road. Hey, Mitch.
So this actual project was not discussed, if I recall correctly, at the previous council meeting earlier this month due to the applicant requesting deferral of it until the following month for time to make improvements to the site as far as grading is concerned. We have not heard back from the applicant yet at this time, but be happy to go through as far as what this project entails. So project's down Rocky Fork Allenville Road, about 800 feet southeast of Keaton Church Road intersection. The land use plan in this area does support medium density, single family residential, with surrounding zoning consisting of R1, R3, and PRD, which is the Courtyards at Stewart's Creek development. As far as the services are concerned for this project, CUD will provide the water in this area. The town would provide all the other services. At this time, CUD has not provided a will serve letter, but the adjoining developments didn't have an issue as far as the fire flow is concerned, and that it does pertain to the Saddle Grove development and then the Courtyards of Stewart Creek development. This request is for 103 single-family lots, which does equate to a density of just under 3.5 units per acre. Home size would range between 1,600 square feet to 3,500 square feet in size. Material is pretty consistent with what we've seen in the past for other PRD developments with a mixture of brick, stone, and cement board siding. All of the town requirements in regards to open space, parking, and setbacks would be met. There would be a single access point onto Rocky Fork Allenville Road, and a connection point would also be made to the Courtyard at Stewart Creek development as well. As pertaining to the grading for the site, there is a significant amount of grading work that would be required. CUD does only serve a max elevation of 760 feet above sea level. The rear part of this development does exceed that 760 feet. So as part of that, they would grade a good bit of it, and they'd be left with approximately a 36-foot tall retaining wall at the tallest point at the back of the development. So back where the Courtyards Drew Creek development butts up to this development is where you'd have that wall be placed. There'd be a fence at the top of it to prevent, obviously, anyone from falling off that top of that rock wall. So page 7 in your pattern book does show approximately where that orange line is located for the grading for where CUD would service. So that was the grading work they're trying to do. Once again, we have no updated plans as far as what they're, if they're gonna make any different changes or modifications to these plans from what you all currently have in front of you today. The Planning Commission did recommend approval of this project 7-4-0 against with a couple conditions. Coordinate with the Courtyards of Stewart's Creek development in regards to the street and utility connections as well as the finished contours. Any house construction over 3,600 square feet in size would require additional fire flow requirements, and that does include the square footage, including garages, porches, and anything else that is attached to the house. And then critical lots would be identified as a part of the preliminary plat stage. And with that, staff recommend approval.
Questions for Mitch on this one? Mark or Tim, anything you want to add on this one? Okay. We'll
I
put
do
that-
have one question there. So you said they actually haven't come back to you yet? This is
Correct.
still deferred, so it may actually not be on the agenda, or it has to be on the agenda?
It'll
for
still be
January?
on the January agenda. It was deferred for the first hearing to the first hearing for the January meeting. So we have not received any feedback yet from the applicant, so we don't know. At this time, what you have before you is still current.
Okay.
And the
I
applicant
understand.
can continue to request deferment if they so choose to.
Yeah, Mitch and I talked about this last couple of days, and since we've not heard back from them, it is operating through the system, so we needed to bring it forward just in case. So you guys would not have heard about it. So we're just kind of waiting to see what they do, but we want to make sure y'all were up to speed on it.
Got it.
Okay?
Any other questions for Mitch? Move on to item 20, which is consideration of a resolution requesting the Rutherford State Delegation to introduce legislation. Jeff?
Yes, Mayor and Council, just as the town had done in 2006, when we have a private act, which is, will have to be legislation by the Tennessee General Assembly. This is a resolution that requests all those in the Rutherford delegation to introduce the private act for the town. And as you can see, the full text of the charter amendment as proposed is included.
Questions for Jeff on this?
So when are you asking them to introduce this?
Well, they can, obviously, they can pick it up at any time that they want to, but keep in mind, under our private act, it does state that there does have to be, the referendum has to be successful for
Right.
their legislation to move forward.
That's why I was asking.
But for them to know already, instead of notifying them in April or March, this allows all of them time to know that this is coming up for our request.
Okay, but it would not go until after the referendum has been,
I would not
has
expect them to
occurred?
do that, no, because they're gonna wait on to see whether the citizens vote for it before they take it forward with the private act, so that it meets those legislative parameters.
So
But
you're
we're going to
just-
go ahead and send it
But we're
prior
going to send
to
it
that,
now.
so they
Ask them
know.
so that, because, they have to, they get so many bills in and everything else, we want them to
Right.
know, right as session starts, right before it starts, that this is the legislation we're gonna be asking you to carry.
If it passes,
Right, that's
as long
right.
as it passes.
In the event that it comes.
Right, if it's successful, yeah.
Okay.
Other questions for Jeff? Okay, we'll move on to item 21, which is the engagement of Littler Mendelson PC to conduct the requested review of allegations against the town manager.
Yes, Mayor and Council, as you're aware, at the November meeting, the town manager requested that the town council seek out an independent or third-party review concerning the allegations levied against him in the public arena and during the pendency of the recent proposed charter amendments, meetings, and I guess some subsequent emails, et cetera. So I spoke with, there are several firms that the town has standing agreements with. Not really a retainer, we don't pay that, but standing agreements that the council has approved. And so those were the firms that I engaged. Several just did not have the time or didn't practice in that area, those types of things. There were two that were responsive with that. The one that I recommend, however, is Littler Mendelson Law Firm. They are a labor and employment firm, if you're not familiar with them. The town has utilized them over the years and have provided excellent legal advice and assistance. As Jeff Craig will tell you, they were also instrumental in reviewing the handbooks over the years, and so they're very familiar with the town's requirements. And in speaking with Eric Stevens, who's the attorney with Littler, this is something that they could do in a timely fashion, could begin in January. And then the person that would be boots on the ground doing interviews, those types of things, as you see there, would be a Jessie Harbison, and she was former Associate General Counsel for the Tennessee Human Rights Division, who address these types of workplace allegations and discrimination, those types of things as well. So she's got a history as well as the firm in general. If the council so chooses, obviously we don't have to have a new contract, so that's why I'm not bringing you a contract, because we already have a standing agreement with them. But I want to know from the council if you're good with this recommendation. Then I would recommend, as you know, to have an executive session so that the council can ask questions of this firm. You can't deliberate on anything, but you can ask questions to find out, what are they going to do? What's this process? How are you doing this? On January the 3rd at 3 p.m. And they have agreed, if council is good with this, to appear for that. And so that is my recommendation to you, is that we utilize Eric Stevens, but Littler Mendelson as the law firm for this third-party review.
I know that you've put a lot of hours into discussion and looking over who might be the best recommendation, and I appreciate you doing that. And based on the stuff that you've sent us and that we have here in our packet, I think it looks as if they are very capable of handling this process. So, questions?
I do have one, Jeff. Since the November meeting, since we received the EEOC complaint against the courts and judicial work down there, will we be able to leverage them for that work as well as part of this, or do we have to do something separate there?
So obviously I would not use the term leverage, but I know that's not what you meant, but is my idea, of course, initially when we receive an EEOC complaint, we basically give a position statement, and Jeff Craig, HR, those kind of respond to that. Then they will determine, the EEOC will determine if it goes further beyond that point. And I believe that in my recommendation to the council would be, because these seem to be stemming from the same department, and possibly dealing with some of the same employees, that it would make more sense for Littler, who specializes in labor and employment, to handle that instead of hiring two firms if it gets to that point. It could just, we don't know what's going to happen with that yet, but if it moves to that point, that's definitely what I recommend.
Okay, that's kind of where my thought was going. They're going to kind of be having some conversations that obviously intersect both conversations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Both the investigation of Brian as well as this EEOC complaint. So it just seems like if they're the ones involved, we kind of eliminate potentially some additional billable hours and et cetera, right?
Yes, yes. And just to be clear, the EEOC complaint was against supervision, not against Brian.
Correct, yeah, right.
Other questions? And we can discuss this, I'm assuming, more at our executive session?
Yes.
Okay.
So the details of how that process is gonna go is gonna happen at the executive session? Like how, the scope of the investigation?
Right, you ask questions of how they're going to, stem out from, what leads to the next thing, and I'm sure when they'll start there in the courts and then pan from there. It would not be like all 500 employees, that type of thing, unless, if someone comes forward and wants to, but I'll leave them to kind of explain their process to you, and if you have concerns about that, then you can ask that at that time of, help me understand this, what you do.
Yeah, and I assume, sorry, go ahead. I was talking over you, I didn't realize you were coming back.
Okay. Actually, it's a separate question, so if your
Yeah,
question's
so
related to that,
it
then I'll
is, yeah.
hold on.
So my thought, this is more of just Steve Sullivan's thought, but also kind of a question. My thought would be, obviously by hiring an outside firm, we're getting experts who deal with this constantly and regularly. The other piece is, my personal opinion is that we let them do their job. And if they tell us that they need to talk to 500 employees, then they talk to 500
Sure,
employees.
sure.
If they tell us they don't, then they don't. So I think at least that's where I'm falling. I want to ask them what their process is, and I may challenge some of that process, but I also want to leverage their experience and make sure that, we're not directing or
Sure.
pushing the
Right.
conversation a specific way.
And
one
this
way or
is,
the
this
other.
is something that they do.
Yeah.
So, this is one of the reasons that I've sought them out. This is something that they are very familiar with. This is not something foreign for them.
Okay.
So you said something in your comments, and I just thought it might need to be explained.
Okay.
You said that you had two choices, and this was the choice you went with. So the choice you didn't go with, is it because of timing? They weren't able to get to it? I just thought that might need to be explained as to why you focused on it.
Timing, resources, and area of expertise that I was familiar with on when I reviewed the firm and my experiences with each. I based my decision on that. So nothing was wrong with them. That's my recommend. I had to recommend one, and that's,
Okay.
I felt like due to their specific area of labor and employment specifically as a firm, I felt like they, instead of more general, like, hey, yeah, we do that too, I felt like, this is kind of their area of expertise.
Okay.
Have we done work with the other firm as well?
Yes, actually, but not labor and employment.
Yeah, got you. So just, that wasn't someone you just found, it's somebody
Right,
you were
that
familiar
attorney
with.
had done condemnations and stuff like that
Gotcha.
for us. So not labor and employment issue.
In reference to the EEOC complaint against court supervision, will we be discussing the logistics behind it at this meeting? Because, I know there's a complaint, but I don't know the steps forward as far as, how and if it's investigated, how it's responded to, and how to move forward once it's all done.
Well, and you may not have seen my helpful email that I sent you.
It is the holidays.
So hopefully that will answer most of your questions.
Okay.
But obviously, at any time the council, any member wants to call me, have any questions, and of course you can ask it then, I'm not saying you can't ask it then, but at any point, but I did put that together for you to kind of give you a rundown generally of here's the steps and here's
Okay.
here's what happens next.
I guess, you may have already done this, and I'm not trying to step on your toes, but since this kind of came up since you engaged or initially engaged Littler, I'm assuming you're gonna give them some more info. So
Already
if we
have.
start asking them questions, they're not like, what are you talking about?
No, I've already
Yeah,
spoken with Mr. Duke.
Other questions? I appreciate you, the time you've spent on this, Jeff. I know that you've done quite a bit, so we appreciate you bringing us. But since help me understand, since we already have them under contract, are we even gonna need to bring this to the council meeting?
No, you do not need to bring this. I just wanted to get a temperature of the council tonight.
I'm very comfortable. What about the rest of you all moving
It's
forward?
quite the resume, in my opinion, as you look through the
I'm in
resume.
agreement with that.
Anybody else?
I'm
Okay.
good. I believe that, you think at Nissan, we've actually used Littler for a couple of similar type issues, so pretty familiar with their work.
Okay, then we'll move on to item 22 under other, which is change order number 1 for the Fire Station 4 project to replace diesel generator with a natural gas fire generator for additional $91,397. Tom?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Yes, this is a change order number 1 on Fire Hall number 4. They originally had designed out and spec'd out a diesel generator, but to keep with what we have with other fire stations, we want to go with a natural gas generator, and that's an additional $91,397. We do have $310,000 that was built into the project as contingency, so this would just start to touch into the contingency fund that we do already have approved in the project.
Questions for Tom on this? Okay, we will put that on the agenda.
This is for, I'm sorry, this is for the new firewall, right? Yeah, I see it.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything else under other before we move on to? Okay. Christie, anything? So I guess, does that mean it's Dennis?
I'm coming to say.
Oh, okay.
She's delegating.
She's learning quick.
I just wanted to let everyone know that this is Dennis's last official council meeting, and how privileged I've been for him to work with me and continue to work with me. So that's all.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to thank you all for allowing me to be the interim building official for this period of time. It's a privilege and an honor to serve this administration in the town. It's a memory I will treasure. I do intend to still be available and to work part-time. And I want to wish each one of you a happy new year, and thank you again.
Dennis, I think every one of us sitting here, as well as those that work for the town, have such confidence in you. But the thing I'm most honored to do is call you my friend, because it doesn't matter what time of day, what it's about, you always answer that phone and are always willing to help. And so we so appreciate all of everything you've done for our community, and we know that you'll continue to do. So.
Thank you.
Dennis and I worked together for about 50 years ago, almost 50 years ago.
Been a while back.
Showing
Been
your
a little
age.
while. But I'm like you, Mayor, he is a friend of mine, and I have a ton of respect for him. Not only him, but his entire family. So I appreciate what you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Charles, are you sick tonight? Oh, good, okay. Chris? No? Did Carl say you had to sit in the corner? Did he give you your assigned seat?
Him and Todd.
Oh, okay.
Did you notice he had a tie on?
Oh, he does have a tie on, there you
I
go.
mean, it's not as fancy as Tom's, but
I was gonna say.
Tom has a tuba concert to go to.
Tom's got his Christmas tie on.
I don't think any of us know how to tie a bow tie.
It's clip-on, it's clip.
I probably have one of those in an old Halloween costume.
Tom, anything else? Mark?
No, ma'am.
Mitch?
I'm sorry for only having one item tonight. I'm not used to only saying one thing, so with that, I'm all good, and I bid you adieu.
Great.
And there's that.
Still in the Christmas spirit.
You're gonna have to find a do.
Jason?
I'm good. Happy New Year.
Mike?
No, ma'am.
Todd? Heather? Chief? Amber Lou?
No, ma'am.
Brian D?
Mayor and Council, I have a couple things to share with you tonight. But first of all, I do want to compliment Tom. His daughter dressed him tonight, and she's going to be seeing him on television with her daddy's young baby's tie on. Now, I know how that works. I've got some socks and ties that I just wear around the house that, you know, so,
I don't.
you make sure your daughter knows some of us appreciate. The other thing I want to say, and I know several of you have already made some comments about Dennis.
I never said that.
I just want to say, as your town manager, Dennis has been always a joy to work with. And he stepped up at a time when I needed him pretty bad with some things going on in the codes department. And not only did he step up and do the job, he made an impact. And we'll never forget that. And we appreciate your leadership, your dedication, your work ethic. And I'm like the mayor and some of the council members have said, your friendship. It's been a lot. And we're glad he's going to be hanging around still in a part-time role. And I hope we can keep him on there for a little while. But Dennis, you've done a great job, and thank you. Thank you from the town. A little bit of sad news. Most of you know Sheppy in the HR department. Sheppy lost her sister over this holiday weekend. She had to make a quick trip, and I wish Jeff was still here. I can't remember. I think she was in North Carolina. I think she'd been dealing with some long-term illness, but it was not kind of an unexpected passing. So I'm sure she would covet and appreciate your prayers during this time. Next, I think I got a couple of slides real quick. I recently was invited by Middle Tennessee Electric to come over and speak to their engineering day. Putting me in a room with 25 engineers is an interesting mix, but we had a good time, and we just talked a lot about the value of partnerships, and we do have a great partnership with Middle Tennessee Electric in many ways, and we just appreciate them and the work they do. We had a good time, and I appreciate being invited to go over and speak to that group. Just want to remind everybody the Christmas tree drop-off is underway, live trees only. Decorations need to be removed from them. You can take them to the Lee Victory Recreation Park out at the football field parking lot, and we'll be collecting those until January the 14th. So anybody that wants to drop off, but just remember to remove the decorations, the tinsel, and the lighting. We don't need any decorated trees in the stack. So up till January 14th at Lee Victory Park at the football parking lot. As most of you know, I spent a couple of days out of town visiting my family for Christmas. But before I left, one of the things I look forward to the most every year is the Shop with a Cop, and it was put on again by our FOP and our Smyrna Police Department. Many people there that morning helping these children. I know they did a great job raising the funds, and if you've never had a chance to go down there and see those kids, I tell you, you know, it really helps me get in the Christmas spirit, because so many times you think about these young kids being given, you know, a budget of a few dollars, and they're going to head out to the Tinker Toy, you know, in the Lego land. So many times they're looking for shoes and a coat, and they're looking for something for somebody else in their family besides them. And it really helps me understand the true meaning of Christmas. And I just appreciate our police department and all the work they do. I appreciate the chief supporting this, and of course the FOP Lodge for doing this here in Smyrna. We do appreciate them. It was a great time. Congratulations to two new officers, Matthew Goggle and Officer Ryan McGuire. Some of you may remember Ryan. He worked for us in the court department, and he worked for us in the Parks Department. I think prior to that as a part-time employee, and now he has graduated from the Academy, Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy, and the Chief and Assistant Chief Dwyer and Assistant Chief Lear, and I think Captain Bobby Gibson, I think, attended that, and we're proud to have them fully. They're not pinned yet. That's coming here shortly, but they are on patrol and ready to hit the streets, and we appreciate them, and thank you for the work they're going to do for us. Just want to remind everybody that Town Hall will be closed Monday, January 1st, 2024, in observance of the holiday for New Year's. Everything will resume back to normal hours and regular services on Tuesday, January 2nd. I'd be remiss if I didn't remind you that there will be people in our Parks Department, there'll be people at the water plant, the wastewater plant, our police and fire departments will still be delivering services during that holiday. I just want to acknowledge and recognize them for the work they do, even on the holidays, to make sure our citizens are cared for. Last thing I have is my regular, but it's my new slide of love. We didn't throw the old one out on the street. We put it in the receptacle. We didn't trash it, throw it out. So, but love where you live. Help keep Smyrna litter-free. It's something we can all do a better job at. And my friend Tony out at, don't blank on Seven Oaks. You know, he continues to be that guy that sends me texts every week and shows me the bag. It's down from a pickup truck load to about a bag now on that back road, and he continues to do a good job, but it appears that he's motivating some folks, because I got a text from him tonight that Colleen Hefner Mathis had a trash bag that she picked up on the General Barksdale. So she's picking up on General Barksdale. So maybe it'll get contagious, and that'll be that nucleus that starts cleaning up Smyrna. But we appreciate everything that Tony and Ms. Hefner Mathis is doing out there to help
Brian, do they
that
have a
community.
social media site out there that speaks to that? Do you?
They do,
you know?
yeah, and you gotta remind me, she took it off my slide, so we will have that back on the slide.
No, I'm just curious if they had one. I don't.
Yeah, there is, and we'll get that out, and it is on our social media pages, but it just escapes me tonight.
It's nobody trashes Tennessee.
Yes.
No, I think he was talking about Seven Oaks. He
Oh,
was
you're
talking about Seven Oaks.
I thought you were talking about that one.
No, I'm talking about Seven Oaks.
Seven Oaks has a internal webpage, that
neighborhood.
the neighborhood watch kind of thing.
That's what's generated.
Yeah, and they're sharing that information, and Tony's really good about,
Yeah.
I get so tickled at him, he'll go out there and work, for 3 or 4 hours picking up that trash back there, and he just thanks his neighbors for just even waving at him, and I think maybe sometimes that makes him think, maybe I'll do more than wave, maybe I need to be out there helping him, but he's been diligent and doing a great job, and he keeps me on my toes about trash in that area and what needs to be picked up and stuff. Luckily, there's not been any large items dumped in a while. Along with that, I just want to remind everybody, we're still getting calls. People want to know where the convenience center's at. It's closed. Well, it's closed on Weekly Lane, and it's now open on G Street behind the county motor vehicle facility over there. I was in here Tuesday catching up on a few things, and the phone was just ringing off the wall, so it was out at Casey's desk, and of course, we were closed, so I finally went out there and answered, and I thought somebody's really trying to get a hold of us. It was a guy wanting to know where the convenience center was. He said he couldn't get a hold of anybody, wanted to know where it was at, but it is now open, and I understand operating pretty well. I know one of the things they talked about was changing the hours, and somebody said that the sign said they were closed today, but they were actually open, which that's what I expected, that there was gonna
I
be.
think that was spoof. I saw that as well. I think that was somebody thinking, it said there was no cars here today. It says closed, but I went in.
Oh,
So I
okay.
think it was somebody saying, hey, there's
Well,
nobody
the
here.
nice
and they
part
were
is
closed.
they did get it open before the Christmas holiday, and that's when we have such a traffic issue on Weekly Lane. So hopefully, with it now open, whatever the hours are, we'll have to check with the county. We'll make sure that that's on our website.
Yeah, that was
but-
Kedrick, being cute,
It
I
may
think,
have been.
today on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
So Kedrick, if you're listening, good
Yeah.
job, buddy.
But,
9:35.
I'm
They go to-
9:35.
I think so. I've
Yeah.
been
I'll
there
be,
twice
uh,
already.
We'll
Mondays
get
and
those,
Thursdays
Are still closed.
Sundays and
generally.
Mondays. was-
Sunday, Monday, and Thursdays.
Yeah, so we'll get those hours
Sunday?
and.
Sundays. No, it's Mondays and Thursdays.
Mondays
are
and
when
Thursdays.
it's
Monday and
generally
Thursdays.
closed.
We will get those hours and we'll get those dates and we'll get it out on our Facebook page for everybody, but keep in mind, this is operated by the county, so they set those hours, that's not us.
Yeah.
But we're happy to give information to the community as much as we can, so. There goes another computer in the budget.
If you hadn't mentioned it, I was going to. Many people know that I have a love-hate relationship with the convenience center. I will tell you that I visited the new convenience center on December 26th, in the heat of traffic. I was there less than 5 minutes. They had about 6 lanes open. And it was actually a very smooth and very pleasant process. So the new facility is definitely designed to flow people in and out. The way that they've got it positioned on G Street, Weekly Lane was not delayed in any way. It's actually probably one of the best improvements we could have made to a convenience center. It's actually now more convenient.
I think they're still working out some of the kinks. We've had some other calls that weren't as, complimentary of the new system, but I think it's just them getting it open and getting everybody used to it.
I got some bugs to work out.
Yeah,
We'll
they've
get
got
it
some
worked out.
things to work out, but that can be expected. But I think it's gonna help us with traffic on Weekly Lane
Yeah.
quite a bit. I know last year, I'll be honest with you, we went out there for lunch at one of the restaurants there at the corner, and we had 2 police cars out
You get
there
anything.
for almost 2 weeks helping with the traffic flow, and it was a mess. So getting them on G Street has helped quite a bit.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
Anything else?
oh ma'am, I'm trying to figure out what I said wrong.
You said we went out to eat at the convenience.
Yeah.
Made it
No,
sound
I
like
said
we're
at
going to
one
eat
of the
at the convenience
restaurants,
center.
one of the restaurants close to the convenience center.
So first we had,
Got listed.
you were dumpster diving.
I was not dumpster diving.
yeah, first we had visions.
I may be at
of-
some point, but not yet.
We first had visions of you in socks and ties walking around the house, and now dumpster diving.
That was Tom.
Okay. Tom understands. We have daughters, and when they give us things, we wear them.
Jeff?
I would just say that I'm blessed. Since our last meeting, I have a new granddaughter, third granddaughter, Isabella Monroe, smart, so blessed for that.
Thanks to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the one who introduced them, and then
Oh,
they
I
got
know.
married, and now they have a baby, so I,
I'm sure
There you
Becky, how
go.
much credit you were
That's a
taking.
great
About surrogate job.
Yeah, I was thinking you were a surrogate or something. I
I
was
was
like, how
the
did I miss that?
matchmaker.
That's right, that was when the Blue Angels were here,
Sure
wasn't it?
was.
There you go.
She'll need to contribute at Christmas from now on.
Oh,
Gotcha, that's right.
his granddaughter's new name is Amber. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, Raquel?
Couple of things. Thank you, Dennis, for all of your hard work for the town and your commitment, and thank you for taking Christy under your wing, and we still look forward to you being around here even part-time, so. Condolences to Miss Sheppy and on the loss of her sister. And also, get well to Chief Bill, who is at home and on the mend. Let's see, congratulations to our new officers, and I hope that everyone had a good Christmas, and I pray everyone has a safe new year. And that's it.
Great. HG?
Ditto on what Raquel just streamed there. But personally, Dennis, years of service, friendship, greatly appreciated. And nobody likes their grandbabies any more than me, Jeff, so congratulations there too. Mary Esther, do you have a slide on the skate rink?
I do not.
You do not. Well, this past Tuesday, we took two of the grandchildren down to the SOAC, and they skated and they went into the SOAC to the display. And Mike, what's the name of the display inside now?
Some assembly required.
Some assembly required. Real neat little things that the kids really enjoyed figuring out and putting together, and they had a great time with that. And I think we're going to take the third grandchild down there next week, so I'm looking forward to going back again. Now, some of y'all know and some of you don't know that my son-in-law is Canadian, and so he appreciates a good ice sheet. And he said that our rink worked very, very well, and he recommended it, which I thought was a great recommendation there. Now, a lot of you got money for Christmas. Be sure that you spend it locally in the local independent businesses, and then also be kind. And hope everybody has a great new year to accompany their great Christmas they just had.
Tim?
Yeah, I'll add my condolences to Sheppy and her family. Dennis, thank you again. Really appreciate all that you do for Smyrna. And with that, I'll wish everybody a happy, safe holiday weekend and a prosperous new year.
Derek?
Dennis, also, thank you. Does that mean I can still call you when I got a light switch that doesn't work? I got two right now, just to let you know. But thank you. We go back a long time, all the way back to school. So appreciate the friendship and all the things you've done for the town. Jeff, congratulations to you as well.
Thank you.
You're gonna have a good time, I can tell you that. It's a pretty good deal. Had a couple of birthdays. My son Trenton had his birthday yesterday, so we did a little bit of celebrating last night. And then my wife Patty is a New Year's baby, so January 1st will be her birthday. So happy birthday to her as well, and happy New Year to everybody else.
Great. Steve?
Dennis, thank you. No slight to Christy at all, but as soon as they named you the interim, my first question was, are you looking for a long-term gig? So, we have a lot of faith and respect for the work you do and appreciate the effort and the time you give us. Also, this date, 5 years ago, Mayor, you may not remember this, but you and I were in this room, and you married Scott and Summer DeMumbrim. So they're celebrating their 5th anniversary today. They were married right here 5 years ago. Let's
Does it
see.
make you guys kin in any way?
It does. I was the witness and she was the officiator.
Yeah.
So, also, the Bullard family, Charlie and Beverly lived off Chase, Chevy Chase Trail. Beverly passed away a couple of days ago. They're extended family by marriage, uncle. But condolences to Charlie and Carrie and Braden. Services were today at Woodfin. And then my brother's birthday is December 31st. Happy birthday to my brother Joey. I think he goes by Joe now. He's more sophisticated. Anyway, and I guess that's it. Happy New Year's to everybody.
Marky Mark?
Well, to Sheppy, loss of her sister, obviously, our condolences to her. Sheppy's been a fixture here at Town Hall forever. And so let her know we're thinking of her and praying for her, especially in the holiday season. It's any time's bad, but you know, just the memories of that's going to linger on for a while. Jeff and Jason, both of you guys, I appreciate the work you've been doing back there in the legal department. I know that you guys have your plates full back there and you make it seem sort of seamless, but I know how hard you're working. I just want to say thank you to both of you publicly for all the work that you're putting in back there. Chief Bill, we miss you here, and if you're watching, or if you're not, watch it back and let you know we miss you. And want to wish him well. Glad he's out of the hospital. I tried to text him a time or three and didn't get a hold of him, but I figured he was on bed rest and so forth. So glad to know he's rehabbing at home and on the mend. Happy birthday to my grandson Layton, who just celebrated a birthday this week. And I wanted to say one thing. We talk about social media for Seven Oaks. We all get to see social media posts and things like that. And HG, you'll be glad to know that the traffic was tremendously strong during the holidays because I saw people posting about the traffic. But what they need to understand is that traffic is buying goods and services here. And at Christmas time especially, yes, it gets congested, and it gets congested here in Nashville and Murfreesboro, Mount Juliet, and Lebanon, and everywhere else. It's Middle Tennessee. We are fortunate to be in a growing community like we are. Roads don't catch up sometimes as much as cars do. But Charles had mentioned this earlier, and there's been some discussion already on our agenda tonight about the Rocky Fork Road interchange. I've seen some postings about that from individuals. They need to know that this team of people and that team of people and all the mayors of all those other municipalities are coming together and they're working hard, very hard, to get that interchange done. And it'll extend all the way over to McEwen Drive when that happens. So for those of you who may not be in the know about Rocky Fork Road interchange, you need to know that help is on the way, but we need state help in a big way. That's what it takes. Those are state roads. Those are not Smyrna streets. But in addition, Cooks Lane, Rocky Fork Almoville Road, some of those roads are starting to see improvements now as growth comes out that way. So be patient. I don't know where you're going to live in Rutherford County that you cannot deal with it without having some patience. And we are getting there. We're working extremely hard as a council and as a municipality to make sure that the roads and the infrastructure around town and adjoining areas service you better than they have in the past. Other thing, ITS system, the Intelligent Traffic Light System is in the works as well. And that will help when it comes to full fruition with traffic signalization and so forth. So there'll be somebody monitoring lights instead of just waiting for the light to change. And so that's on the way. So for those of you posting about traffic, please know there are improvements coming. And I just wanted to bring that up. The last thing I want to say is happy and healthy and prosperous New Year to everybody watching and everybody here in the room that we get to work with, all the employees of the town. That's all I have.
Great. So my slide tonight is Chief Irvin and I were lucky enough to get to go to D.R. Horton, which is right off Seven Oaks Boulevard, to judge their department contest. And let me tell you, it was not an easy decision. And for the winner I chose the winner, and for those that did not win, Jason chose those, and so, they had food, they had really gone all out, and if you ever get the opportunity to go over and see their building, it is really nice, and, they were just great hosts, so thank you to D.R. Horton, and thanks for choosing the town of Smyrna, for your headquarters, we appreciate that. Chief Bill, I know you are probably watching or will go back and watch it. Do what you're supposed to do. Listen to what the doctors tell you to do. Listen to what little Bill tells you to do. We want to see you back here for our next meeting. I want to also wish everybody a very happy new year. We are blessed to live here in the town of Smyrna, and each one of us sitting up here feels very lucky to be able to represent each one of you, and we look forward to continuing to do that in 2024. So if nothing else, we're adjourned.
Okay.